Hello, I'm Jeremy, and I wanted to talk about how it's important to get your information from more than one source and to really kind of be critical of what's being said. It's convenient and easy to just go to one source and follow their narrative, and it kind of makes sense, but nobody's perfect, nobody has all the answers. And that's what I'm going to do with this. This guy here is the amazing Lucas, and he's a nice guy. I like him, and a lot of the stuff that he says I agree with. There's been plenty of times though where I have not, and this video that I saw, he really kind of takes things a little too far in a direction that I don't agree with. I'm going to break it down, going to watch the video, comment as we go, and I don't think he means anything by it. I think he's 100% sincere. I think his information is just inadequate, as is with everybody. We're all caught up in the fake news trash, and the lacking of our education system has hurt us quite a bit. And so I'm going to point out the things that I do like, because he definitely gets some things that are right, and he gets some things that are wrong. So if you've been watching my videos and you like all this, like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up. I've got a whole lot more planned for all this. I also have Patreon and Subscribe Star. So let's go ahead and get into it. And so the title of the video is Windsor Police Soften Up an Army Lieutenant in Traffic Stop. Now, I actually came across this. Let me see if I still have it up. No, clickbait. Yep. Let me pause while I see. No, I guess I already took it down. But I saw. I didn't read the article, but I saw the video footage, and it looked like whenever I watched it that both of them, both sides, had done things that were wrong. Who holds the most responsibility for this situation? I'm going to say the officers, because they elevated it whenever they shouldn't have. And he does point this out. So let's go ahead and get started.
Unbelievable. Oh my goodness. So
like
many of you guys shot me the story about Windsor Police. They were like, Lucas, check this story out. At face value, I saw the pictures, I saw a little bit of the video. I was like, okay, what's the story here? Man, oh man. when I tell you the story...
I like that he's got a good sense of humor, because I tell you what, there are some others that I watch and listen to and kind of gets me worked up a little bit, but whenever I watch him, he's got a smile about it, and that helps to kind of alleviate the frustrations that you see with some of the things that are going on in the world. So
it is just crazy. It's just crazy, okay? Just to set it out for you, you have this Army lieutenant, okay?
And that doesn't mean very much. I was in the military. Just because somebody has a uniform, that doesn't mean that they're a good person. Doesn't mean anything. Whenever I went through basic training, we weren't taught anything about having good morals and good values and doing the right thing. It was a lot that you will follow orders, you're going to do as you're told, or you're going to get an Article 15 or a court-martial or whatever it may be. But shut up and do the job, do the mission, do whatever. So just having a uniform doesn't mean anything. I knew plenty of other soldiers, and they were just horrible, scummy, god-awful humans. And, same thing with anything with cops, lawyers, doctors, whatever. I mean, they're all over the place. It's just people. It's not like you put on the uniform and you're just magically transformed into a saint. However, it is going to play a role a little later in the video.
Bought a brand new SUV. It is this.
Okay, so yes, he brought a brand new SUV.
This man and his dog. It's a man and his dog. How simple can it get? He's in a brand new SUV, okay? He gets pulled over, all right? sound of the police. What he then does, pulls into a gas station, okay? It's a well-lit gas station. It's late at night. Now here's the thing. This man, mind you, goes less than a mile. We're talking about estimated.
I like that he's got some evidence to pull up from the time that Defendant Crocker initiated the traffic stop until the time Lieutenant Nazario pulled over into the BP parking lot. Approximately 1 minute 40 seconds elapsed. He's traveled less than a mile. Yes, that happens all the time. Sometimes you can be on a road where there's not a shoulder. You can't pull over. And so you have to wait until there's an opening for a parking lot to pull into, or another street that you can turn down to. I've done that. I've absolutely done that. And I'm sure that I will probably do it a couple more times throughout my life. I'd like to say that I've easily got 40 or 50 more years still of my life, maybe even more. So yes, the chances that within those decades it's going to happen again, yes, absolutely. And I will absolutely do it again.
1 minute and 40 seconds to find a gas station because of how dark it is. It makes sense, right? You're in a dark area, you have police behind.
Absolutely. I don't want to be in a dark place with anybody, officer or not. And a gas station where hopefully they also have cameras up. Love it. Smart. Good. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going to want to see some light. I'm going to want to have some light, not only for my benefit, but for their benefit, so they can't say, oh, we made a first time.
Screw the cops. I don't give a damn about them. I will do that for me and my safety. Yes, it just so happens that it's for the safety of the officer too. There's nothing unreasonable about this at all. And I've never heard any kind of law that you have to pull over right now immediately. They're on the spot. No. Now, the only things that you could do to help in that situation would be to turn on like maybe your four ways or your blinker or something like that, just to let the officer know, yes, I am aware and I'm taking some kind of action, just a blinker, to get you over into the lane that you'll be turning out of whenever say like a parking lot, gas station or whatever becomes available. Yes.
Furtive movement, so I'm gonna blow his brains out, okay? It makes sense. Now, the reason why they pulled him over ostensibly was because he didn't have his license plates.
I love it that he's pulling this up here. I don't know this website, but he's got it down here in the bottom. But driving back from his duty station, the defendants did so ostensibly because they alleged that the lieutenant did not have a license plate on the rear of his newly purchased Chevrolet Tahoe. They both do things that are wrong.
It's a brand new car. Okay, I understand. Here's what happens. The police know all of this, all right? They know this. They say.
They know it's a new car? How could they know it's a new car, though?
Hey, reason why most people, go into.
The defendants admitted that they knew why Lieutenant waited until the BP to pull over for his and their safety. Oh, okay, so they know why he went to the gas station instead of just parking in the dark. And he admitted it happens all the time. The officer admitted it happens all the time. So what's the problem? And that it happens to him a lot. What? I missed this the first time I watched the video. Also stated that the maneuver informed him that based on his training and experience that the lieutenant was almost certainly, or with at least 80% probability, a minority. Well, I'm in that other 20% because I've done that crap. I don't know about all the time, but because I've been pulled over in the middle of nowhere, and it's like, in between cities, just traveling, and it's like there's just no lights.
Well, the gas place. It's understandable, right? Officers know this. It's not like he's doing a high-speed pursuit. There's no high-speed pursuit. Officers tell dispatch that, hey, he seems to be complying. He's slowing down.
Okay, so let's read this one. Within seconds, the lieutenants submitted to the defendant's display of authority and began to slow down. The lieutenant also... Oh, he did! He initiated his turn signal. Yes, I've done that too. That makes sense. To signal his compliance to pull over. Was aware of both the reasons for the stop as well. What?
Putting on his blinkers, right? He's driving to a gas station, all right, for his safety and their safety. Guess what?
And I've seen people do this too. I've seen people turn on their blinkers. They don't pull over right then and there, but they'll turn their turn signal on, and just nothing becomes of it at all. They just pull over when there's a convenient spot, because there are plenty of roads that it's just too busy. So it's like we have main streets where it's just streets. There's no place, there's no shoulder at all over the place. I live in a decent-sized city, too. Not a little town, a decent-sized city. It's like that all over the place, and it's like that with a lot of places. There's no shoulder.
What happens then, all right? They get out of the car with their guns drawn. Why? Because they've now escalated the situation from a regular traffic stop to a high-risk traffic stop.
That's exactly what they... Oh, I take that back. I've seen the video. I don't know what portion of the video we're seeing. I don't know if I started watching it at the beginning, at the middle, if there was like maybe a couple of minutes shaved off of it. I don't know for sure. And I'm always critical of that, because far too often that is exactly what they do. They will take the video, they'll chop off a first bit of it that puts a lot of light onto the subject, but they don't want it for some reason, and so the rest of the video looks like it's something completely different whenever you've knocked out that first half. And I remember thinking that to myself, because it has happened and happened and happened and happened.
These two pigs, and yes, that's what they are, it would be insulting for me not to call them by their proper name, okay? Pig 1 and Pig 2, these two pigs, clowns, these gang members in badges, get out of the car with their guns drawn, okay? It's now a high-risk traffic stop.
So if all this is correct, absolutely right. These officers are cowards, they're a-holes, something is not right. You know, if this is the beginning of the video and they've had no confrontation with him, this is the first that they've just pulled over, and this is their first response, wrong. It's just absolutely stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Meaning that now...
And this goes to this other video that I had just a little while ago, where I was watching Jordan Peterson and Senator Mike Lee talk about the Constitution and part of what it means, and that the government has the monopoly on force to act as a third-party mediator because they're withdrawn with the emotions that the two other parties that are involved with that they have, and that they are supposed to that when they use force, that the government is saying that we will do so respectfully and in a way that's measured, restrained, and exercised at an appropriate level that is geared specifically toward protecting life, liberty, and property. Man, whenever I heard the senator say that, it's like, yes, that is absolutely the way that I've understood the Constitution and have had it explained to me. I didn't quite put it together that I knew that, yes, the government has a monopoly on force. I knew that. I didn't quite put it together with that part of the Constitution is that the wording in it is that we are all kind of free people with the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that we are all kind of these entities of God, that we all have this special divinity about us, that we're all valuable, that and so whenever he put it this way, that we're going to treat you respectfully, and that was in the Constitution, I knew exactly what he was talking about whenever he said it. And that these officers completely fail in this.
They feel that the officers' lives are in danger.
Okay, so the problem with this is that you don't know what the officers' previous situations are. Is that you could have two officers at the very same precinct where one officer, it's like every time they go out, they've just had horrible luck and they've been extremely volatile situations, and another officer where nothing has ever happened to them before. An example of that could be where you've got a new rookie, they don't know what they're doing, times are different, and it's just always chaotic, and the senior officer never had to draw a weapon before in their life, they're in a better neighborhood, so you could have that. And this is something that people don't ever kind of realize, is that all cops are different, every last one of them. It's just the same ridiculous nonsense as, well, men get paid more than women. It's like that's a generalization that is just absolute trash. There are men who get paid more than me too. So what are you talking about? Men get paid more than women. Men get paid more than men. Women get paid more than men. There are women out there who are definitely making more money than me. There are women making less money than me. I mean, it's all over the board. What the hell are you talking about? That's why it's a myth. And I've talked about this in a previous video. You can go look at it.
Okay? Their lives are in danger. This person is potentially a dangerous individual. That's a high-risk traffic stop, okay? A felony stop. That's what they've escalated the situation to, despite knowing that he was complying with their orders, in addition to why he pulled into a gas station, okay, a well-lit gas station, because it was dark outside. They still, despite knowing all of this, all right, they escalated to more lives in danger.
That's right.
Want to know the cherry on the top? After they tell them to get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car, right? Because you have these two pigs who their only idea is like they feel like they're a superior to everyone. Like, well, listen to me, don't ask questions. Listen.
Okay, so I've seen the video, I've heard the conversations back and forth, and these officers are just, there is a lack of responsibility and accountability for politicians, government officials, employees. Cops are definitely part of this. They have this immunity, and I don't know if it's all states, and Lucas brought it up. I don't remember if it was this video. I watched another video where it was about the cops, and that he brought this up, and I've heard of it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but whenever they're doing something routine like this, that you can't do anything to the officers. They have this protected immunity, and it's like, that's absolute trash. It's like, no, they're not perfect. They don't get a special get out of jail free card. No, absolutely not. It's wrong. They need to be held accountable for their BS.
We don't ask questions. And the guy.
But the guy, if you watch the video, the guy is completely calm. He's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing, except he's not getting out of the car. But the officers are just dumb as dirt. I don't know why they continue. The guy's being calm, he's not yelling, he's not doing anything, and why they did not de-escalate it, I do not know. The guy doesn't have a gun, he doesn't have a knife, he has no weapons, nothing at all. I don't understand. Other than they're either just such cowards, which I really don't think so, because they don't look that scared to me. It looks more like they have a problem with their ego, that they think they're all high and mighty because they're just pouncing around like whatever, especially this one guy who's shaking his mace bottle right there. It's like, shut up.
He's in his uniform, all right?
That doesn't matter. He's in uniform. Anybody can go out and buy a uniform. It doesn't matter. Hunters go out and buy these things all the time. That doesn't matter. And again, just because you're in the military, it doesn't make you a saint.
A man who's active duty, who's actually fighting for the country.
Doesn't matter.
He's fighting for your rights,
So
okay?
what?
For your safety, to protect you from foreign attacks, okay? These two pigs are doing nothing.
You do not know what his MOS is. Do not conflate the two. I tell you what, I hate that crap. Well, I just want to thank you for your service, for joining the military. It's like, you know how many people don't do anything in the military? That they're cooks, they're mechanics, they're doctors, they're nurses, they're all kinds of stuff. It's a whole completely different world in there, and they have all these jobs that are just like that you find in civilian life, except they're related to the military. And I don't know why. It's like, why do you need like a military dentist? Why they can't just say, you know what, just go to the dentist in town, we'll reimburse you. Why do you have to have a special dentist? Because you know what, these dentists and these doctors and all this now, like the doctors and nurses, it's like, yes, because whenever you're in combat, you know, but there were a lot of them. It's like, why do we need these special? A lot of these people were just not very good, and that's the reason why they took the military job, because they couldn't hack it in civilian, the civilian world.
Nothing. That's right. They're doing absolutely nothing but harassing this man who actually knows what it means to sacrifice.
You do not know that. I tell you what, there are these people who, what do they call it? Where they take your honor, or they steal your honor, or something like that. They lie about it. There's a name for it. And it's like, I don't care. I'm not going to get into it anyways.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum don't know anything about that. They are given a badge and they just push their weight around on everyday civilians.
And that's exactly what happens in the military. That happens all the time. We were told on multiple occasions that you do not take orders from somebody who is not in your chain of command, no matter what their rank is. We got told that, for example, by our lieutenant colonel on more than one occasion, because this would happen whenever you would go out to Grafenwehr or Hornsville for training there in Germany, and other officers would try to take you to go do some work, and our command and our structure would be like, where were you? No, you're here to do things for us. You're my soldier, not them. And they would go and they have a big pissing contest, and our officers were always right and theirs were wrong. They have no authority over you whatsoever. And yeah, so
for example, right here, a traffic stop. Okay, a traffic stop, they're well aware, is not a high-risk traffic stop. But nonetheless, they have their guns drawn because they're a bunch of scared little piggies.
Yes.
Now what happens?
Scared, maybe a little bit. I think that's more of an excuse. I think really they're just pissed off that they're not getting what they want. It's not going their way. And that is, I think they, bow down to the cop kind of thing.
Is that as they get out of the car, they tell them to get, show us your hands, but open the door. Show us your hands, but open the door. He can't go into his, to unbuckle his.
I don't remember if that's the case in this situation.
Seatbelt, right? That would make sense. If you wanted to show us your hand, well, I can't go. I'm only going to show you one hand to get my seatbelt. I can only show you one hand to open the car door. Okay.
Yeah, and that is absolutely entrapment. If you're cognitive enough that your emotions aren't getting in the way, one of the things that you can do to help deal with this is that be verbal. Have your hands out and say, all right, officer, I'm going to unbuckle my seatbelt. I'm taking my hand now and I'm unbuckling. Verbally describe everything that you're doing. And I've seen there's a lot of cars where they've got cameras mounted up all over the place, and I've seen videos of that, and they will verbally describe every single action that they're doing. Okay, officer, I'm reaching toward the glove box to get my proof of insurance. Is that appropriate? If it's actually being escalated by the driver, And there's some concern. Yes, that's appropriate. It wasn't appropriate here because the driver hasn't done anything wrong.
Okay? They're messing with them. This is very much a setup. And this man who was in this car, Lieutenant Nazario, very intelligent to stay in his car. This man, active duty lieutenant of the Army, says that he is scared.
You received an order. Obey it. Yeah, you should be. Get out.
See, they do not sound like they're scared at all. Fat boy over here has got some kind of problem. He's more vocal than his partner who's got the body camera on. This guy's a loser. He's got a small thing, I guess, and he's overcompensating for this because I just don't understand this loser at all. That's Lucas who added.
I want you to think about that. This man comes home from serving his country, and is scared because Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Imagine how.
How do you know he came home from serving? Where did that come in? I missed that part.
How low the standards must be for the police department, okay? Imagine how low it must be for these two knuckle-dragging pigs to...
Stolen valor, that's what it's called. Stolen valor, where people will dress up in military attire, they'll have even medals and ribbons and all that stuff, and they want all the little perks and benefits of everything that's associated with it. And it's like, I don't care. Just because you served, it doesn't mean that you did anything worth a damn. I mean, there's plenty of just desk jobs. That's all they do, is just sit there and just fill out paperwork. I don't care. Just because you wear that uniform doesn't mean a damn thing. You know, there are plenty who do, but again, just because you put that uniform on, it doesn't mean that you're just a great person, that you're just magically a saint.
Be able to have a firearm, okay, and to point it at an innocent civilian. They pulled this man out after he's pepper sprays him, because a little fat piggy, okay, is pepper spraying him. Okay, he's talking,
yeah.
Well, I'm a veteran as well, and I know to follow orders, okay?
Okay, so...
And I love it, because you want...
So he's absolutely... That officer for saying that is absolutely correct. 100%.
You know what all the bootlickers is?
About if you're in the military, that you obey orders. Absolutely, positively, 100% right. You are not a soldier to be an individual. You are a soldier to be a machine. That you are to be programmed, that you have things that you have to do, and you do not question them. You were not put into the military for your opinion or your expertise or any of that. You are there to follow orders. And especially whenever you're in a combat MOS, you don't do that stuff at all. They can actually shoot you right then and there. If you're in a combat situation, and for example, you're ordered to go over there and to take up position or something like that, you don't get to say no. That's treason. They literally get to shoot you right then and there. Because they don't get to take you to court. It's like you're in the middle of a combat situation. So, you can get rolled up in an Article 15. Now, you can only get shot with certain situations. They have to be pretty intense, though. It's not at a whim. But there's plenty of times where it's like, no, you shut up and you do what you're told. So, for example, we had Grafenwehr and Hornsfeld, and one of them is where you went to the range and you shot your weapon, and the other one is where you went out and you actually practiced maneuvers. I forgot which one is which. With the one where you went out and you did your maneuvers, you would be out there for kind of like a week. You would be out there for quite a while. And then you would also have maneuvers that would just be like a day or something like that. It just kind of depended on what was happening. Whenever you're actually out there doing your maneuvers, whenever you were doing the war simulations, that was not the time to ask questions. If you asked questions out there, you could get a lot of trouble. You asked your questions before and after the war scenario was done, not during, because it was to simulate combat. It was the exact same thing. If you were in combat, You don't sit around with your thumb up your butt and ask questions. So if this guy was really in the military, which I'm gonna say yes he was, then yes, he is absolutely a poor, horrible representation of the military. Because if he was being given orders by someone who was of a higher rank, of a captain, major, colonel, he would have been rolled up. That would have been the end of his career. In fact, this is bad enough that if you do things that are bad enough in the civilian sector, that it can affect your career here too. So yes, he is absolutely being disgraceful. This is absolutely wrong, and no, he did not do good at all. If he's a lieutenant where he actually has men underneath him, they should have no respect for him at all, because as an officer, because you have two kind of set of ranks. You have officers, which is I think, what was it, 01 up to like 09 or something like that, and then you have enlisted men, which is E1, E2, E3, E4. E1 is a nothing, E2 is a private, E3 is a PFC, E4 is either a specialist or a PFC, and then you get into the sergeants, and whenever you become a sergeant or more, it takes an act of Congress. You do what you're told all the time. And if you don't, they don't have to explain themselves ever. Nothing. For anything. And if he's got soldiers underneath him, he should be getting the same out of them. That yes, there are times for questions, whenever you're training, not during the actual exercise. So he's absolutely wrong with this. He should have gotten out. He should have shut the hell up and done what he was told. And part of this too is that the cop is not a lawyer. He's not a judge. You don't plead your case to him. And that we have a system. And just because the system is not going the way that you want it to, that doesn't mean that you get to break the rules of the system. Two wrongs do not make a right. And a system that we have is driving. We are surrounded by strangers in these huge pieces of metal and glass, traveling at high speeds, and we have a system in place for driving. Just weave back and forth on the road in the middle of the night like this, and go by a cop, and you know what they're going to think? This guy's drunk. This person's drunk. They've left the bar. They're drunk. They're weaving in the road. I'm going to pull them over. Just for weaving. The cop would absolutely be correct for pulling you over just for weaving. You don't get to change the rules. The rules are there for everybody to follow and to do the same. If the cop is doing something wrong, then what you do is you make a change in the system, or you go get a lawyer, you contact a politician, you do something like that. You don't arbitrarily decide that I'm just going to change it. It's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe the situation is absolute trash. You've done nothing wrong. That's not the place to do it. I don't care who you are. That's always the situation. Because whenever you're resisting, you're not doing your part, and now you start to look bad. You want to come out of it crystal clear with no problems, do everything that you're supposed to. Because that's the way the system is. The system says that you obey the orders of the officer. You don't agree with them or not doesn't factor into it. You just do what you're told.
Should have just complied, Lucas. If he had complied, none of this would have happened.
That's right. This is not the place. I'm not saying that what the officer did was right. What he did was absolutely wrong. I'm saying this is the wrong place.
If you just gotten out of the car, none of this would happen. You bootlickers will be the death of this country. I've said it once and I'm...
No, this is not bootlicking. You have to have a system. People have to know what to do on both sides. Is the officer overreacting? Is the officer a pile of trash? As far as I'm aware, from what I know right now, yes, he is. Now, if new information comes up, I could very easily change my mind, but right now, yeah, he's garbage.
And I'll say it again. The same people who want to scream about and...
So, for example, whenever he saw that he pulled over, he didn't have a gun, he didn't have any of this stuff, he could have answered some questions to help this lieutenant to kind of calm down. He could say, could you please step out of the... He could have been polite himself and said, could you please step out of the car? I'm a little unsure. I'm feeling a little nervous. It would make me feel better. Instead of just being this demanding a-hole.
Virtue signal over the Second Amendment are the same people who are just talking about, well, just comply. Make that make sense.
And see, I think this is one of the things that Lucas has a problem with, is that he doesn't understand why you do need to comply. I don't think Lucas is being malice in any way. I don't think anybody's actually kind of explained it, because Lucas does not seem done to me at all. I just think it's the lack of education. Our education system absolutely is trashed, and they don't go over anything like this. You know, do they really sit down and explain not only what the system is, but why you do it? It's because everybody wants to feel safe. Everybody needs to know what to do. Part of the problem, though, again, is that there's no accountability really set and forth for politicians and law enforcement officers, because this guy should be fired. And not only that, he should not be allowed to work in any kind of police or security force. He can go find a job in a different field.
Because it doesn't to me. I'm going to tell you the same thing when they're knocking on your door because of a red flag law, because of something you posted or something you've seen, you're now seen as a threat to the community and society. I'm going to tell you the same exact thing. I'm going to be right outside on the corner, on the sidewalk, across from your street saying, just comply and you won't die. That's what I'm going to be doing.
It's actually right. That's what you should do, though. So I like he's pretty animated.
Anyways, long story short, they pepper spray him and they handcuff him. And you want to know what the cherry on top of this stupid son?
And see, he's resisting arrest. It's like, it was kind of funny, though, because there's like 2 or 3 of them who are trying to put handcuffs on him, and they're having such a hard time. It's like, you're so stupid. You know, and it's like, this lieutenant, he does not seem like somebody who's... If they just would have talked to him, I think they could have gotten absolutely everything that they wanted to out of him. You know, having someone in cuffs, yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's like, I don't want to do this. I understand all that, but they're in their right to do it. And if you don't agree with it, then go make a case for it and change the policies, because there are definitely policies that need to be changed.
The thing is that this man had his license plate taped to the back of his window, okay? Visible to the officers as soon as they got out of the car. And they were so concerned about him not having a license plate, guess what? They should have de-escalated the situation. The man, the lieutenant, didn't raise his voice not once.
Yes, I do not understand why for 1 second that they never explained why he was being pulled over. It takes like 2 seconds. Why did you pull me all over, officer? You don't have license plates. It's like, it's in the window, it's taped up, it's a temporary one. How hard is that? Explained it all like that.
Right? Wasn't hostile not once. Was telling me what is going on.
Yep, he was not upset. He wasn't hostile at all. He was completely calm.
What is happening, right? I want to know what is going on. Why would I get out of the car when you 2 clowns, you 2 pigs, have your guns drawn? Oh.
Because the government has a monopoly on force. You have to comply. If there's a problem with the system, you make a change with the system. You don't get to argue with the system on the moment, right there on the fly. That's not the way that it works. Because if they were to do that with this lieutenant, then they should do it for everyone, and that is impossible. Because how many people out there are just absolutely wrong and stupid? It's like the majority of the time, I'm going to say that most people are in the wrong, and handcuffs are just handcuffs. Yes, they pinch on you a little bit. They're going to leave little red marks on you. You're going to be fine.
Okay, if you're that scary enough to have your guns drawn, literally over nothing, do you think I'm going to get out of the car so you can Daniel Schaefer this man?
You have to, because this is also part of you building a case against the officer. I tell you what, if he had gotten out of the car and he'd just had the handcuffs put on him, that makes him look better. It makes him look good. You want to look as great as you possibly can. I tell you what, if he had done that, if he'd gotten out of the vehicle, if he had handcuffs put on him, he would have been able to have at least, at the minimum, gone to the police station and filed a report against this guy. And there would have been nothing he could have done whatsoever. But because he resisted, he gave the officer, he now has ammunition to use against the lieutenant. You need to think about the whole picture all the way through, because now the lieutenant has done something wrong.
Well, put your right hand on your head and turn around and do the hokey pokey. Oh, you didn't put his right hand, you put his left hand, right? That's what they'll do, okay? They'll set you up so they can justify legally killing you.
And I know it does sound like with some of this, he's being set up, with, well, we want to see your hands, but step out of the car. It's like, well, how am I supposed to take off my seatbelt? How am I supposed to grab the door handle and get out of the car whenever you want to see my hands? And that, I would say, would fall more on the officer. The officer should say, I want you to verbally tell me what it is that you're doing so I'm aware. The officer should have training with that. And so that would be a failure on the officer. It's good to know also as the driver, for the rest of us to go ahead and do that, so.
All right, that's what will happen, because they had no reason for any of this. His license plate was on the window. And you want to know why they had no reason for this? Because at the end of the day, they let the man go.
Document says the officers ended up letting the lieutenant go after threatening to charge him with obstructing justice, eluding police, and assaulting a law officer with the intent of... This is what now? And assaulting a law officer with the intent of derailing the lieutenant's military career. Yeah, see, all of this can derail his... Whenever you want to get promoted in the military, you have to accrue promotion points. And you can do it through a lot of things. How high you score on your PT test. How familiar you are with weapons, with your vehicle. There's a lot of things. If you take college courses, those act towards promotion points. And the further up the chain that you go, the more competitive it is. And so if you have a tarnish on your record, that's enough to stop you. You can think about it whenever you go in for an interview. They'll look over your resume, and if you can't even fill that out correctly, they're just going to toss you aside. And so it's because whenever you have all these people in front of you, you got to do something. And so get the low-hanging fruit first, the easy stuff. It's like, okay, well, this one's no good, this one's no good, this one's no good. So this lieutenant, I don't know what he was thinking. What he was doing just didn't make sense. He, of all people, should understand the importance of following orders.
They let the lieutenant go. No charge, nothing. They let him go. This man was harassed.
And this is why you do what you're told. Because if they have nothing, they can't do anything. Because at some point in time, if they just didn't give up, what are they going to do? Take them to the police station and what? What are they going to say? Hey, this guy, we turned on our lights, we ran the sirens, and he pulled over. Okay. He didn't have a gun, he didn't have a weapon, we put him in cuffs, and we brought him to the station. And the charge is what? They have to have something. And if they make up a charge, he can say, well, you know what, I want an attorney and I want to see the body cam footage. Oh, okay. Well, we don't see anything on the video cam footage that supports your made up accusations. That's why you comply. And it's not because of the officer, it's because of the system. The system says that you do have to have some kind of proof, you have to have something going on there. And today, especially with body cam footage, it is harder and harder and harder for officers to be able to make this stuff up. So comply. May be completely wrong, might be BS, but whenever you don't, you're giving them ammunition.
Traumatized more than what he probably already is, being an active lieutenant. That's what they did. That's how they're treating people who are actually sacrificing.
That's right. They added to his trauma, whether if he had any or not, doesn't matter. And that would have just been another thing. Because it's not a casual thing to endure whenever you have a weapon drawn on you, no matter who it's from.
Dedicating their lives, all right? People were actually doing stuff, not like these clown pigs in badges and uniforms, all right? They think they're heroes and they're saving the country or whatever delusions going on in their heads, whatever they teach you in the academy.
But we're all like that. We all have delusions in our head to some extent, and it's because we have to make decisions about stuff so that we can get on, because we're all too stupid. We don't know enough. But this is the end of the video. He's going to wrap it up. That's everything. So what do you think? Do you understand what it is that I've said? Did that make sense to you? Do you have any questions? Did you like the video? If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe. I've got Patreon and Subscribe Star. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.